This is the piece of equipment that everyone should have and not enough people even know what it is. Hey guys, Troy here again, Titan Off-Road. I wanted to talk a little bit today about recovery gear. I get asked all the time what I take with me when I go for a day of wheeling, so I just thought it would be interesting for you guys to actually see what I all carry, and as you unpack it all, you realize just how much you actually carry. So there's pretty much not a situation that I'm not prepared for. The wife and I, my buddies, sometimes just me and Ruger will get out on the trail, and I need to make sure that I can get home. Or if I come along someone else who's in trouble, I want to help. You never know what you're going to run into. So we want to talk about the things that make the most sense. I'll go over everything here, talk about how often I use it, I don't use it, and some of the things that are the most important, or some things that you guys might not recognize, or those of you at home who haven't been around this hobby very long, you may never have seen before. Well, we're going to talk about those things. So I know we're going to end up with comments on this if this is laying here. This is a personal preference, guys. I understand if firearms aren't right for everyone. They are for me, and I'll tell you why. There's wildlife and bad people when you're by yourself in the middle of nowhere. We've been in some mountainous areas where it just feels better to have it for security. I carry a SIG P365. There's my firearm of choice. And then hand tools, from your needle nose pliers, vice grips, your regular wrenches, screwdrivers of a variety, pliers, some neat little guys, Husky. So this is ingenious. I have one of these for Allen wrenches and Torx bits as well. Fuses, an impact, a drill. I actually have used the Gator grip several times. I've lost it. For literally, it works for just about every single one of these style of bolts. So when I can't get a wrench or something else into place when I've broken something, I've used this several times. Just bought a new one again because I lost it. I'm in a Jeep, so it's metric. So I got a metric wrench set, deep sockets, large sockets, small sockets, Torx bits, Allen's, every variety head, including just the littlest, tiniest socket wrench here. Every socket wrench of every size, a breaker bar, zip ties, a tire repair kit, tire pressure gauge, check your tire pressures, your standard tools, including the Milwaukee right here. This is something I use. If you don't have one, you need one. So it allows you to get that right angle. You make sure you got a nice razor blade. This is probably something that I use more than anything else here. But almost everything on this table has been used. Important to carry enough tools to be able to, tackle most trail jobs, most trail fixes. This stuff will be able to tackle that. Then over here is the vast majority of true recovery gear. So on both Jeeps, one is at least a 2-gallon Rotopax on both vehicles. On the diesel, of course, I got a yellow Rotopax. And on the Gasser, the red one, and then both Jeeps always have a high lift. Something that is super important, if you think this is just for changing a tire, do yourself a favor, get on YouTube, where you probably likely already are watching this video, and get up into the search bar and type in high lift jack and the word recovery, and you will find so many uses. If you're just using the high lift jack by itself, I could see where there's some limitations. We've used it just recently to remove a giant boulder that ended up wedged up in between the front tire inside the wheel well and the body of the Jeep. And if we didn't have the high lift jack, I don't know how we would have gotten out of that situation. At the very least, we'd have been there for a few more hours. I use this oftentimes where we're high-sided up on a boulder. We've slid off a giant boulder. The Jeep is now wedged in there, and I need to be able to lift by the tire, because if I lift by the body or by the rock slide or a bumper, that spring is going to decompress, it's going to droop, and I'm going to have to be able to jack that Jeep up 1.5 miles. In this high lift box right here, I keep some high lift accessories. This is the high lift base, guys. If you don't have one, I recommend grabbing one. There's 1,000,001 other uses. I've used this even for just digging snow out of the way. But this one here, right here, is called a lift mate. This hooks down to here. All right, and then that will hook to the wheels. and you can lift from the wheel, which allows you to pick the Jeep up immediately. And then we use it to build up the road underneath it so we can just drive right off whatever we're hung up on. Hey guys, Troy here at Titan Off-Road. Be sure to subscribe and check out more cool videos. Rocks, logs, whatever we can find out there to wedge underneath the tires, so that way we can drive right off. That's probably the most common thing that we use the high lift jack for. There's ones here for rock sliders and bumpers. This guy right here is for bumpers, and that guy right there for the rock sliders. All right, so we use all of these. So the high lift jack is an important piece of recovery gear, not used for a traditional jack. The issue we run into with our Jeeps is we've got large lifts and large tires, and I've not found much of a bottleneck jack that can even get high enough to lift up the Jeeps. Clevises, D-rings. I always carry a handful extra of those. Your standard paper towels, toilet paper, lights, lots of lights. If you haven't been in a situation where you needed one, there you go. Rhino USA actually sent me this to talk about, and I never did actually when they sent it to me. I met these guys out at an event, and I actually feel bad, so it's something we're going to need to do here eventually. But this goes together. It's a shovel slash saw slash axe blade and a pick on the other end of this. And there's actually a fire starter. So there's your fire starter. Oh, that's a saw blade. So you screw it in right here, and then you've got a saw blade. I don't remember where the whistle went. Is it? Yep, there's a whistle in there too. I suppose in case you get lost or you're stuck in the woods and you're trying to signal somebody. So, I actually thought, I think the price on this was really inexpensive for what it is. If you ever had to dig something out of snow or mud or rock or who knows what, it's nice to have a shovel. And then the rest of the stuff, yeah, survival kit. You know, the Overlander group, that'd probably be a really cool one for that. I always carry a trash bag with, no matter what. This hangs from the rear tire. Guys, if you don't know, treadlightly.org. Educate yourselves. Leave the trail systems better than you found them. An air compressor. This is the same company that rebrands these for several companies. You guys might have seen the Moab air compressor, so on and so forth. I have tested this against the ARB dual piston onboard air system. I ran that for a long time. No need. This guy is faster and it's portable. I love it. And I could buy 3 or 4 of these for what I paid for my ARB. Now, I'm not saying that's right for everyone. And I'm not saying that the ARB may last longer, any of that. This just serves the best purpose for me. If you want to run onboard air, go right ahead. That's a great way to do it. And ARB makes a great product. This is just a quality compressor, and it's fast, so I like it. And it's inexpensive, and I beat on my stuff. Next, battery jump box. We carry a couple different versions of them, one in each Jeep. Both of them are lithium. All right, let's take a look at those. Guys, we're going to do you a favor, and we're going to just put up several of these products, links to them in the description. So check that out. If you see something here that you think you got to have, and all of it's great, you should be able to find a link in the description. All right, moving on. Several different types of toe straps. This one here is retractable. That's nice because you don't have to mess with it. But I'll tell you that if you guys are going to start going to off-road parks, especially the privately owned ones, having hooks, there's a safety hazard here with hooks, right? Just like on your winches, okay? These are dangerous. They can hurt people. They can damage property, all right? So a lot of events don't like to have them when they have the hooks. It's convenient for me, so I like them when I'm not in a private facility that doesn't want them. So then you may have to grab straps that just have spots to hook these onto something else. Soft shackles, your winch hooks, whatever. So I can run. Now, we just picked up the Gladiator. So I've got duplicates of some. No matter what, when I leave, if I'm only driving one Jeep, all of this goes in the one Jeep, which will show you a little video clip of the Wrangler and the cargo system there. The Gladiator, the box of the Gladiator is obviously simple to carry all this in. And then I'll show you eventually here what I use to carry additional stuff. But again, then another strap here with the hooks. And also carry a 5-inch strap, which I can't seem to find. And I recall using it recently, so I'm hoping I didn't lose it. It didn't end up in one of my buddy's Jeeps, or a stranger's for that matter. All right, so you might want to pick yourself up one of those. First aid kit, we've got 2 different versions. I've got one that I carry in the Gladiator. This one I carry in the Wrangler. This one you can find on Extreme Terrain, four-wheel parts, and Amazon. And this is actually the most complete by far. We're talking tourniquets. We're talking a stitch kit. If I had only had one, it would not be the HTX one here. This is nice to have in addition to this, but this is the one that I would make sure I had that's the most complete. Where we take these Jeeps are where other people are not. God forbid I'm trying to work on the Jeep. I got a trail fix. It's not going anywhere, and I really damage myself, and I need to be able to take care of that, or I come along somebody who's in a really bad spot. So buy the most complete first aid kit you can find. All right, moving on over here. Guess this isn't really a piece of recovery gear, but I'll tell you, it's a tire deflator. Rhino USA makes them. They're really nice. You program the deflator to where you want the tire to run, and you just twist it on, and it deflates to that PSI. It's genius. I have one for each one of the Jeeps. So the Gladiator is not on bead locks. We have it set to 10.5 PSI. Drops all 4 tires at 10.5 PSI. On the Wrangler, where I have bead locks, we usually go to, God, I hate to admit this, but the wife's kind of taken this piece on since I've got a bad back. I think it's 6.5 to 7 PSI where we have that one set at. On the really, really, really tricky stuff, if I do need more traction, we do get down to 5 PSI on occasion there. All right, and then soft shackles. If you don't know what these are, you need them. I'm going to run through this just really quick, guys. Instead of all of your hooks and everything else, synthetic rope, these have like a 30,000-pound breaking strength. This twists right through there. When you pull tight, it wraps around that knot. 30,000-pound brake strength. Got a couple of them. Down here, we got a set of traction boards. All right. Do not buy the cheap, flimsy ones. These are really thick, and they're heavy. That's what you want. Okay, these are not going to come apart on you, break, crack, all that jazz. So buy yourself a nice set of traction boards. They do actually come in handy. I have used these to get people stuck out of the snow and mud. The large dual toolbox. I throw everything in there as part of their tough system. They're stackable, so I do have a couple other ones that I like to carry with it. I'll fill up one as much as I can go, and then guys, ammo boxes make great storage boxes. So you can pick up ammo boxes super cheap at Fleet Farm, at Walmart, on Amazon, you name it. So I oftentimes will use ammo boxes and different size ammo boxes as well. And then this is the piece of equipment that, in my mind, everyone should have, and not enough people even know what it is. These straps, these toe straps that I showed you earlier, I use them for one thing and one thing only: to tow a vehicle. Tow. I do not yank them out of mud with that. I do not yank them out of anything with that. For towing only. Guys, if I am going to pull somebody who's stuck in the mud or stuck in snow, sand, whatever it is, if I'm going to attempt to yank them free, it is going to be with a kinetic rope. I have a great relationship with the guys at Voodoo Off-Road. They're my kinetic rope manufacturer of choice. I absolutely love this product. They've got a really cool logo. I can't tell you that that's not a deciding factor for me there. But they make a great product. They've got great customer service. What's nice about Voodoo is they like pets too, so they make leashes for these guys. He loves his Voodoo Off-Road leash. So I'll get you guys one of those too while you're at it. But you want to make sure to choose the right size rope for the job you're doing. This one here is good for half-ton, maybe three-quarter-ton pickup trucks. Anything larger than that, you do want to use a larger rope than this, just so that way it transfers kinetic energy correctly. The rope doesn't break down or snap. So I'll tell you real quick what the premise of this is. When you're attempting to yank somebody out, you've got the rope attached to both ends. A tow strap, when I go 15 miles an hour, it is going to create a massive hit, if you will, on both vehicles. The damage can be caused to both vehicles, including injuries to the person, and you risk that energy causing those hooks to break off or that rope to snap. What kinetic ropes do is they expand as you create pressure. So when I hook this to the back of the Wrangler and I've got somebody stuck up to the bumpers in mud, I can speed up to 17 miles an hour and I could actually stop, and the energy built up in this rope will pull that other vehicle out. There'll be no abrupt hit. It's perfectly smooth on either side. It expands and just slowly contracts back together. It's genius. I've had so many people that were just shocked how little force, if you will, they felt when using this rope. It's genius. So guys, get you one of those. It's a big deal. Stop yanking people out with tow straps. Very recently, we lost an off-roader, a father. We lost him because people used some tow straps. It broke and it killed a man. So use the right equipment for the right job. It's important. Take this stuff seriously. It's your life. It's someone else's life. There's often kids out here doing this stuff. So know what you're doing. It's not something to play with. Do your homework. Do your research. Soft shackles are the way to go. First and foremost, kinetic ropes. So that's why this conversation I felt really needed to happen, guys. I said I'd tell you guys the things that I'd make sure I had. I'd make sure I had some basic tools with me. I'd make sure I will not go anywhere without a kinetic rope. A tire repair kit. Guys, everyone should always have one of those on their vehicle at all time. Lights. You need to have some sort of light. A high lift jack. The base mount and the attachments, guys. These are all huge musts for me. Some D-rings. A first aid kit is a absolute must. Get yourself a good one. Paper towels and teepee. Major must. All right. And then jumper packs and the air compressor. These are the most important things. The rest of it, if you carry a traction board, if you don't, whatever. However you're going to secure all your gear is up to you. We are not sponsored by, not affiliated with, but I really like this product. It's called an XG Cargo is the name of the company. And this is their Sportsman system. There's a bunch of knockoffs on the market. It's just not as nice. They also make some that attach on these pillars back here. And then, believe it or not, this is the nicest Molly one I could find. Smittybilt makes it. I'm not a huge fan of Smittybilt products outside of their XRC Gen 3 winches, but this is about as nice as it gets for a cargo restraint system. And the reason I put this back here, guys, is when you hit bumps, stuff just goes flying, and it's to save our heads, essentially, when we get on the gnarly stuff. Make sure you can get home. You get home safely. You never offer assistance to another Jeeper if you're going to put them in harm's way. So make sure you understand whether you are or are not putting them in harm's way. Biggest thing to talk about here is I see a lot of new to this off-roading thing, Jeepers, or they just strap this to the front of their Jeep because they think it looks cool. And eventually they're going to get on and need to use this. And there are some major safety hazards when talking about a winch. Understand the difference between steel cable and synthetic rope, and make sure which one you choose is right for you. We run a steel cable winch on one of our Jeeps and a synthetic rope on the other, and that's so that we can help educate new Jeep owners. If I had a preference, synthetic rope. It carries less energy when it's being pulled. When a synthetic rope breaks, it's less likely to retract or come flying back at you in a hurry. It creates there's less stored energy inside the rope should it break. So for safety alone, the synthetic rope wins by me. However, synthetic rope breaks down with UV rays. It gets dirty. It can fray if you're dragging it over rocks and hard surfaces. That's the drawback to a synthetic rope. Plus side is it's lighter and the safety aspect of it. And then with steel cable burrs. It's better for being able to drag over rocks because you don't want this to fray and tear. But steel cable still can fray and it creates burrs which can tear your hands up. So make sure you use it with a glove. Another thing I didn't see in my recovery gear, and I know it's around somewhere. It's probably in one of these center consoles. Is a rope weight. Just folds over the rope and creates a weight. So should anything happen, the rope's designed to drop. It takes less energy, or it takes energy away when that happens. But again, so going back to steel cable burrs, the biggest reason that I prefer synthetic rope is just that should it break, it can cause serious injury. So while we talk about the serious injuries that either of these could cause, we're going to talk about how to run a winch and some safety pieces. Pop the hood. Make sure your engine's running on whichever vehicle you're using the winch. So the engine's running. We pop the hood. It protects the driver or then the people inside the cab. All right. A steel cable would have no problem putting the winch hook through this hood, but at least it creates some sort of barrier. And in some cases where you're able to, if you're towing front to front, it does not hurt to pop the hood on both vehicles. If you're towing that way, it's just whatever you can do to protect yourself. All right. Other things you might see in videos in our videos where I'm helping my wife, or we put newcomers or new to off-roaders in our Jeeps all the time, and we'll shoot video. And you might see me jump in to help out to run the winch remote. And in those cases, I'm going to open the door to protect myself as best I'm able. Everyone should have heard the horror stories with guys have lost their legs, lost an arm, or worse, have died. So guys, take this equipment seriously. It is not something that should be toyed with. We have a rope, and we could have 10,000 pounds of pressure. If and when that snaps, that energy's coming back. And imagine a 10-pound hook coming at you at 200 miles an hour. That's going to do some damage. Take this proper safety precautions. Pop the hood, stay in the cab, do not stand here with the remote. I've seen that so many times, and you're exposing yourself to death. You've got kids, you've got family members. It is worth taking the precautions to go home to your families. So I'll leave it off with that. Best tool you could have in your recovery arsenal, but also the most dangerous. All right, guys, we'll see you out there.